Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Um, we made it. It's the weekend. Yay. I'm super excited and happy to share a little practice with you this morning. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's kind of gloomy. It's very fall day here where I'm at. So we're gonna find a little movement, wake up the body, wake up the mind a bit, but then have some kind of cozy moments as well. So for practice, if you want to have them as options, I'll just invite you to grab either a blanket or a pillow or both. We're going to get into the hips a little bit this morning. I don't know about the rest of you, but I sit at my dining room table to work all week. And so sometimes my body just feels kind of stuck. So we're going to get down to the hips, kind of wake things up this morning. So if you want, grab a blanket, grab a pillow, something to kind of support or assist as we get into our practice today. Um, for those of you who may be new or haven't practiced with me, my name's Jaime. The purpose of these live streams or the classes that we do in person are just combining the things that feel good. So this morning, finding a little movement, or maybe a little less movement if that's what you're needing, and that's okay. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have my coffee at hand. So whether it's coffee or tea or any kind of beverage you want this morning, having it by your mat, and just taking some time to kind of slow down and get into the body, work out the kinks, kind of wake things up as we head into the weekend. So with that, if you have everything that you need, we're going to get started laying down flat this morning and just settling in, taking up some space as you start to lay down. So maybe letting the legs come out a little wider, having the arms come out a little wider at your sides, and just taking some time to settle in here. And always with yoga and beer, or yoga and beverage for these classes, it's just doing what feels good, doing what makes sense. So if you are just needing extended nap time this morning, then option one, maybe you just lay down, grab your blanket, and be here for the rest of class, and that's okay. But as we start this practice, just really letting everything settle and find a little moment of stillness. Not trying to control or manage the breath or the body, but just really letting everything kind of melt into this space in this moment. Our mantra for this month is slowing down. So this practice will be a bit about that, not really moving too quickly, but just really kind of breaking down the poses, breaking down the postures, taking some time to reconnect with the body, with the breath, or with the mind. We'll just start to bring a little more intention or focus to the breath. Inhaling deeply, filling up the belly with air, and then exhaling deeply, letting it all out. And you can find this breath maybe with a count. So with your inhale, you can count to 4 or 5. And then at the top of your exhale, starting that count over and finding that same number. Using this count to create that really even inhale, even exhale, creating a little energy in the body, at the same time creating a little extra space, particularly in those areas that might feel a little stuck or cramped after a week of work or activities. We'll just spend some time, few more moments with this breath. allowing it to get really comfortable in the body, feeling that sense of ease with each breath. And just taking some time here to maybe set an intention or a focus for your practice. This month, our mantra is really been fitting for what I've been needing in my practices. So I've just really tried to focus on that aspect of slowing things down, not rushing through all the movements and the postures, but really just getting down into the body in each movement, taking it easy. So if that's something that speaks to you, maybe you allow that focus and that intention to settle. Or if you're needing something else for your intention for your practice, just giving space for that to start to resonate in the mind and the body. One more big breath wherever you're at here. Then we're going to start to hug knees in towards the chest. So just taking a moment, maybe rocking side to side, rolling out the back. And then we're going to move the hands over to that right knee, keeping it hugged in. This left foot can come down to plant on the mat. You can also take it out nice and long. You choose what you need this morning. And then we're going to keep that right knee hugged in towards the chest. Just let the arms come out to the sides. Maybe you bring them all the way out. Maybe they're just out slightly from the body here. So really feeling intention through both feet, whether that left foot's extended or if it's planted into the ground. Same with the right foot, creating lots of energy in the legs here. We're going to start to press that right foot up towards the sky. And then bringing it back in towards the chest. And then with our next breath, we're going to start to press it forward. Maybe it hovers just a little bit off the ground. And then bringing it right back in. We're going to move through this a few times here. So taking a breath to press that foot towards the sky, hugging it in, and then pressing it forward. Keeping that sense of energy in the feet. Just kind of letting this movement be really continuous, working out those joints in the hip and the knee. We'll press that foot up towards the sky one more time here. Hugging it in, pressing that foot forward. We're going to bring this knee right back in towards the chest. And we're going to start to send that foot up towards the sky. So pausing here for a moment, feeling that length through the whole leg here. This knee can have a little bend if your hamstrings are just feeling a little cranky. That's okay. So pressing that foot out, pressing through that left foot. So maybe that knee is still bent. Maybe you bring that leg out to straight. You have the option to stay here. If this is enough, it feels like a lot of work, you can hang out. If you're wanting a little bit more, we're going to start to pull nose up towards that right knee. Maybe the hands start to reach forward. If this neck starts to feel a little cranky or stuck, you can also bring hands behind the head, creating kind of a little pillow for your head to keep that neck nice and happy here. So a little hello to our core muscles this morning. One more breath wherever you're at. And then we'll start to bring the head back down, hugging that right knee back in towards the chest. Bringing that left knee in as well. Pausing here for a moment. Maybe feeling the difference between this right hip and the left hip, between that movement and stillness. And then hands will move over to the left and we'll bring that right foot down. So same options, maybe the foot's planted, maybe you reach it nice and long. And then we're gonna bring hands down at our sides and start to find that little bit of movement here. So taking a breath to press that left foot up towards the sky, bending that knee, pressing it forward, hugging it back in, and just moving through this a few times. You choose the pace that makes sense to you, finding that connection of movement and breath, keeping that energetic sense of pressing out through the feet. Hugging that knee in. One more time, pressing that foot up towards the sky. And then pressing it forward. Bringing it back in. And then we're going to send that foot up towards the sky. So same thing here. That right knee can stay bent, or maybe you reach it nice and long. You choose what you need. Option to stay, or maybe you start to pull that nose up towards the knee. Hands can reach forward, keeping that neck nice and happy here. So this activation of the core, this active movement is not coming from cranking the neck. It's coming from deep in the core muscles. So hands can reach forward. You can find that little cushion for the head here. One more breath wherever you're at. We'll bring the head back down, hugging that left knee in towards the body, bringing the right knee in as well. We're going to start to find a little forward and back rocking movement, coming all the way up and over into our table shape. So taking a moment to get set up, wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips. We're going to take a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So inhale, drops the belly, lifts the heart. Exhale, rounding that back. Moving through these shapes a few times and trying to find that, again, that really continuous movement or motion. Can you connect all these shapes so that it feels really fluid in the body? Two more rounds of cat-cow here. Maybe you add some extra movement. Maybe you pause in one shape or the other. We'll start to find that halfway point, that nice flat tabletop. Crown of the head's reaching forward. Little hug in of belly button to spine. So making sure that you've not created a little valley here. So everything's really engaged. Maybe pretending that your beverage of choice is hanging out back there and you don't want to spill it. Need all those last little drops of coffee. We're going to start to send the left foot out to the side. So that inner side of the foot is going to press down into the ground here, making sure it's straight out from the hip. We're going to start to walk the hands back in towards the body until we come all the way up into this shape. So I'll turn so you can kind of see. So that leg is straight out. Hips are stacked over that right knee here. We're going to take a nice big reach, hands to the sky. Pulling the elbows apart. I'm just going to pretend that everyone is either virtual high-fiving me today or you're high-fiving anyone that's in your house with you this morning. Nice big reach, hands to the sky. We're going to take that left hand down the left leg. That right arm's going to reach up and over, creating a little space through the side body here, keeping the heart pressing forward, keeping it open. And then both hands to the sky. That right hand's gonna come down, so maybe it reaches down that leg as you reach that left arm over. Maybe that hand comes all the way down to the mat. And you can get a little dramatic with this stretch. So maybe you puff up that side body a little, just finding that space. Coming right back up, hands to the sky. We're gonna find those shapes one more time here. So that hand comes down the left leg, reaching up and over. Both hands to the sky. And then right hand reaches down that right leg or comes down to the mat as you reach up and over. Bringing it right back up, hands to the sky. Pulling those elbows apart one more time. Nice big reach. Hands are gonna come through heart center, just coming right back down to the mat. And then we're gonna bring that left knee back in, settling back into your table. Inhale, drops the belly, lifts the heart. Exhale, rounding the back, pressing away. Coming right back into our table. Again, finding that nice, strong line through the body. Engaging the core a little here. We're gonna take that right foot out to the side. So straight out from that hip. Hands are gonna walk right back towards the body as you reach all the way up. Pulling those elbows apart. Reaching back up. Right hand's gonna come down that right leg. Left hand reaches up and over. Both hands to the sky. And then left hand can come down that left side as that arm reaches over, or maybe it comes all the way down to the ground here. Have the option to puff up those side ribs. Both hands to the sky. One more time each side. Right hand comes down that leg. Reaching up. Last round here towards the left. Reaching up. Pulling those elbows apart. Little high five moment. Nice big reach here. Hands will come through the heart all the way down to the mat as we make our way back into table. Dropping the belly, lifting the heart. Rounding the back as you tuck those toes, pressing the hips up and back, coming into this down dog shape. So we're gonna spend a couple breaths here, finding a little bit of movement, maybe pedaling the feet, bending into the knees. Any little movements to kind of wake up the body in this shape. We'll take a nice deep bend to the knees here, looking forward between the hands and just taking a little stroll, feet to hands, hands to feet, coming into our forward fold. Really draping over the legs. Keeping a bend in the knees here, slowly, slowly rolling all the way up. Head is the last thing to stack on the shoulders. Once you're there, nice big reach, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're gonna flow through a couple little movements here before we start to add on. So inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Hands will come to shins or tops of thighs. Nice flat back here. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands, heart center. One more time, just like that. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Inhale, reaches all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. We'll start to add on here. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Left foot's gonna stay, right foot steps back. We're gonna drop that back knee. So if you need to add a little cushion here, just take a moment to add a pillow or a blanket or fold up the mat. Settling into this shape, we're gonna take a nice big reach, hands to the sky. Pausing here for a moment. We're gonna start to press the hips forward a little here. And then start to scissor the legs together, reaching the fingertips up towards the sky. So we'll do that one more time, pressing the hips forward. And then scissoring everything up, reaching nice and long through the fingertips. Hands are gonna start to come down around that foot, and we can start to straighten that front leg. So coming into this half split shape. And then we'll roll right back forward, hands reach up. So we're gonna move through those two shapes a couple times here. You can take it as slowly as you need to. So maybe those hands come down to the mat as you find that straighten in the front leg. Reaching those hands right back up as you bend. If you want a little extra movement here, you can fly the hands behind you as you find that half split. And then fly them forward and up as you bend into that knee. 2 more times just like that. Last one. Nice big reach here. Hands are gonna come down around the foot, lifting that back knee. We're stepping that left foot back, coming into our down dog. We're gonna roll forward into our plank. Knees are gonna drop. Heart pulls forward, elbows bend straight back as you lower all the way down. We'll untuck those toes once you get there. Big shrug of the shoulders, baby cobra. Rolling right back down. We'll press it back to table, tucking toes, lifting hips, down dog. If it makes sense, the right foot reaches up and back, stepping that foot forward. Dropping that back knee, taking a moment to get set up here, whatever you need. And then we're coming all the way up, high lunge. Pausing for a moment. We're gonna find that slight movement here. So hips will press forward, feeling that stretch through the front side of that left hip, and then kind of gathering everything up, reaching up towards the sky as you scissor those legs together. We'll do that a couple times here. Pressing the hips forward, reaching up. Once more. Reaching up to the sky. Hands are gonna come down around that foot as you start to straighten that front leg, finding that half split. Rolling right back forward. You know where we're going. We're gonna move through this a few times. So you have the option of those hands coming down to the mat as you settle into half split, and then reaching right back up. If you want that a little bit more flowy movement, those arms can fly behind and then fly forward. 2 more times, wherever you're at. Last one here. Reaching up towards the sky. Hands are gonna come down around that foot, lifting that back knee, and we're just stepping that back foot forward, forward fold. With our inhale, reaching up, hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, nice big reach. We're gonna find our happiest Saturday morning yoga smile as we start to sit into our chair pose. Chair pose, it's back. So you're in charge of your chair. So if your chair is standing desk, that works for me. I can't see you, so you get to choose if you're actually using a chair or not. It's your choice. So you can find that standing desk shape. You can sit down a little deeper. If your shoulders start to get tired, hands can always come to the heart. And just making sure that low back and pelvis are happy here. So we don't want to get too sassy with it. We don't want to shift the hips forward either. One more breath wherever you're at. We're going to start to fold forward. Arms might fly behind. And then coming right back into our chair. 2 more times just like that. Finding that fold. Coming right back up. Once more here. We'll come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, nice big reach. Hands are going to come to heart. We're going to start to shift weight into that right foot. Left knee is coming up. So you choose how high that knee is. Pausing here for a moment. Finding that little bit of balance. And then we're going to start to send that foot back behind, stepping back into our lunge. Taking a moment here to settle the feet. Nice big reach, hands to the sky. Inhale, straightens that front knee. Finding that bend. One more time, inhale to lift. Finding that bend. We're going to put some things together here. So as we inhale to lift, maybe you start to tilt forward, arms fly back. Bending that knee, reaching right back up to the sky. We'll move through that a couple times. You can leave the fold and arm movements out if you're not feeling it this morning. And just find that bend and straighten of the leg. One more time. Reaching up to the sky. Hands are going to come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. We'll all move through a vinyasa one more time here. Inhaling forward into our plank. Option to keep those knees lifted, or you can drop them. Heart pulls forward as you bend all the way down. Untucking those toes, big shrug of the shoulders. Maybe you stay nice and low here. Maybe you press up any amount more. We'll roll right back down. Taking it back, down dog. If it makes sense, right foot reaches up and back. We're going to step it forward. Coming up into that high lunge. Pausing for a breath. Hands are going to come to heart. We're going to start to shift that momentum forward. This left leg is coming all the way up in towards the chest. We're back to where we started. And then we'll bring that foot down to the mat. Inhale, nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale to reach up. Hands are going to come to heart. Starting to shift that weight into that left foot this time. Right knee comes up. Pausing here, finding that balance. When you're ready, sending that foot back behind, stepping into that lunge. Taking a moment to get settled in the feet here, and then arms are going to start to reach up towards the sky. We'll start to find that movement. Inhale to straighten that front knee, finding that bend. One more time. Option to add in that upper body movement here as you straighten that leg. Maybe you fold forward any amount. Bending that knee, bringing it back up. If you don't want to add that arm movement, you can also just stay with that lift and lower. One more time wherever you're at. Settling back into that high lunge. Hands come down around the foot, stepping it back, down dog. Option to move through that vinyasa if that makes sense to you, or you can pause in table or child's pose, doing what you need in the moment, whether that's movement or stillness. We'll come to meet in that down dog. Left foot's going to reach up and back, stepping it forward, coming up into that high lunge here. Hands are going to come to heart center. We'll shift that momentum forward, right knee's coming all the way up in toward the heart, and then bringing it down to meet the other. Inhale, nice big reach. Exhale, hands to heart. We're just going to bring hands down at our sides here, allowing the eyes to close, or gaze to drift to the floor, settling in for a breath. Checking back in with that intention, checking in with the body, the movement of breath. We'll start to blink the eyes open. Hands reach up, folding forward. Halfway lift here, folding forward. We're going to bend the knees a lot to get the hands down to the mat. We're stepping it back into our plank. Option to move through a vinyasa if you want it. And then we're all going to settle down onto our bellies. So coming all the way down to the mat here. Elbows are going to come out so hands can rest underneath the head as an option. This is where a blanket might come in handy if you want a little extra support or cushion. So we're going to start with the left leg, and we're just bringing it out to the side, bending it into kind of this little frog leg shape here. So taking that knee straight out, we're going to keep everything really active. So the foot is flexed like it's pressing down into something. We want to press the pelvis down towards the ground as if you're pressing it to kind of make things flat. There's probably going to be a little bit of space or gap here depending on how your hip feels. And then just settling in for a couple of breaths. Depending on your body, this shape might have a lot of sensation, or there might not be a lot going on, and that's okay. But just keeping that leg active, keeping that pelvis pressing down towards the floor. And then we'll just gently slide that leg right back in, reaching it nice and long. Same thing other side. So that right leg will come out, finding that kind of 90-degree angle shape, flexing the foot here, keeping things active, and then settling back in. So pelvis is pressing down towards the mat. Recognizing if there's sensation or if there's not a lot of sensation going on, that's okay. And we'll start to bring that leg right straight back. Hands are going to come back by the chest here. Elbows pressing back. We'll start to tuck those toes, pressing the hips up and back, down dog. Pausing here for just a couple breaths. We'll start to reach that left foot up and back, stepping it forward. We're going to keep the hands down on the mat here and then bringing that left foot outside the hands. So you have the option of dropping this back knee. We're coming into lizard, which is a love it or hate it kind of pose. If you're like me, it leans towards the hate it side, but it's good to get into our hips here. So whether that knee is down or if it's lifted, we're going to try to keep the pelvis low here. So a nice long line in the body. And we're just going to find a little movement forward and back. Recognizing the sensations that are happening. If it feels really intense for that front foot, you can angle the toes out a little bit. So kind of creating a 45-degree angle with the foot, which might help alleviate some of that intensity. So you can keep this kind of movement back and forth if that feels good and is happy for you. If you want to settle into this pose any amount deeper, you can. Maybe you try to bring forearms down or you use a cushion to bring forearms down to the mat. That's an option. If that knee is lifted and it's just too much, you can drop it, bring it back in. We're going to breathe in this shape for about 3 or 4 more breaths. So we want it to have sensation, but not be like you're dying inside. So if it feels too much, just ease out of where you're at a little bit. And if that knee is dropped, we're going to start to lift that back knee. And then we're just going to step that right foot outside the hands at the top of the mat. So maybe that's a few steps to get there. Maybe you bring it all the way up, finding that kind of forward fold shape here. And then we're just going to send that left foot all the way back. So we're coming into that shape on the other side. So same options. That knee can drop. That right foot's outside the hands here. And whether that knee is lifted or down on the ground, we're just going to find that little bit of forward and back rocking movement. Same option to angle out that right foot a little bit. And again, just bringing a little awareness to how this feels on the other side. If it's different or the same. You have the option to keep that movement happening, or maybe you just settle into your version of lizard. Maybe you drop down to forearms. Maybe you drop that back knee. Taking some time to just be in this shape, but making sure that it's not forcing things to happen that are just not feeling quite right. And if that back knee is dropped, we're going to lift it. Start to think forward thinking movement here. We're going to step that left foot outside the hands, keeping the feet nice and wide. Toes can be angled out or the feet can be parallel. We're just settling into this kind of wide leg forward fold. So maybe you grab opposite elbows, find a little bit of sway. You choose what you need in the moment. Then we'll start to release the elbows, slowly rising all the way up. Nice big reach of the hands to the sky. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we'll just start to bring the feet right back under the hips here. We're going to come into our tree pose for a moment. So making sure the feet are firmly planted down into your mat. Hands are going to start at heart center. So just really kind of finding that nice long line to the body. We're going to start to shift weight into the left foot, bringing that right knee up, taking it out to the side. And then you choose what this looks like. So maybe it's kickstand, calf, or you can bring that foot up to the thigh. And I want you to just pause here once you've settled in to the leg variation that you want. So keeping the hands at heart, thinking about hugging that left hip in towards the center, finding that nice long line through the body. You have the option, maybe you grow some branches if that feels nice. If that foot is closer up towards the thigh, you can also reach down and just hold on with that right ankle, maybe that left or the left ankle, sorry. Or the right ankle. That was right. Goodness gracious. And then just settle in here. If that's too much, feels like it's too confined, then just settle back into where you're at, whether that's hands at heart or hands reaching up to the sky. We'll spend 2 more breaths here. And then just gently bringing those hands back in, bringing that knee forward, both feet on the ground. Pausing for a moment, feeling that connection of feet into the earth. We'll start to shift weight into that right foot, left knee comes up. Pausing for a moment, and then settling into that version of tree pose on the other side. So that can be a kickstand, calf, or thigh. And again, just taking a moment before you add anything on or expand on this shape to feel crown of the head lifting up, hugging in that right hip towards the center, finding that nice long line through the body. You have the option to stay here, or maybe you find some branches. If you want to reach down and grab that left ankle, that's an option as well. But again, just choosing the version that allows you to slow down, allows you to feel that connection to the breath, to the pose. One more breath wherever you're at. Hands will come back to heart center, bringing that knee back forward, both feet on the ground. Settling in for a breath here. We're just going to bring hands down at our sides. Allowing the eyes to close, checking back in with the body and the breath. We'll start to blink the eyes open. Inhale, nice big reach. Folding forward. Halfway lift. Folding forward. Bending into the knees nice and deeply here. We're stepping it back into our plank. Option to stay, or you can move through that vinyasa. You choose. And we're all going to settle into our down dog. We're just going to drop the knees down to the mat here, coming back into our table, just sitting back on the heels. So we have one more little kind of deep hip stretch that we're going to do where your blanket or your pillow might be handy. We're coming into pigeon. So if that's just not your favorite thing in the entire world, then you can come into that reverse pigeon, laying on the back, kind of figure four with the legs, hugging them in. If you're a fan of pigeon pose, but you're wanting a little extra support, just having that blanket or pillow handy. We're going to start with the left leg forward in this shape. So you have a couple options for coming into this pose. Typically, I come in from down dog. So from this down dog shape, we're gonna lift that left foot up and back. We're gonna bring this left knee towards the left wrist, and then just letting that foot kind of cross the mat in a way that feels comfortable. That right leg will wiggle back a little here as it comes down, and then the top of the foot will press down into the mat. So if you have that blanket or pillow and you want a little extra support, you're just gonna tuck it under that left hip to kind of fill in the gap or the space between the hip and the floor. We're going to stay upright for a moment here. So hands can walk back towards the hips, finding that little lift of the heart, making sure that that foot behind you is pointing straight back, and just finding this kind of centered space through the pelvis, pressing down towards the ground. So you have the option to stay here. If this feels like a lot and it's enough, you can hang out. Or you can start to fold forward. So maybe the forearms come down to the mat. If you have another blanket or pillow, you can use that for a little extra cushion. But just trying to get everything to kind of relax and release in this shape. And then once you're settled in, just really letting everything settle in. So if you've gotten there and it's just not for you, you'd rather not, then you can also find this same little bit of stretch coming all the way down to your back, crossing that left ankle over the right knee, and then hugging the legs in towards the body here. So either option, choosing what you need. And this pose, the pigeon pose, or even that figure four shape, similarly to lizard, our hips can be cranky creatures. So we want to feel a little sensation, but if it's too much and it's not comfortable, then just ease out of where you're at. Let it go a little bit. We're going to spend just a couple more breaths on this side, wherever you're at. Maybe you're able to release or let go any amount more. And if you're down on your forearms in that pigeon shape, just gently start to walk hands back towards the body. Planting the hands on the mat, we're going to tuck those back toes, pressing back into that down dog, maybe reaching that left foot up and back. You can bend into the knee and open it up a little bit here. If you're laying flat on your back, just releasing that figure four, finding a little sway to the knees side to side. We'll bring that foot down to the mat. So we're coming into this shape on the other side. If you're in your down dog, right foot reaches up and back, bringing that right knee towards the right wrist, reaching that left foot all the way back. And then maybe again, you find that blanket or pillow, tucking it underneath the hip. If you're on your back, just bringing that right ankle over the left knee, hugging those legs in towards the body. So we're going to walk hands back towards the hips here, finding that little bit of lift. Heart reaches forward, crown of the head reaches up towards the sky. And then as you're ready, just walking those hands forward. Maybe you come down to forearms. If you're laying down, maybe you hug those legs in towards the body any amount more. Wherever you're at, just settling in to that shape, allowing things to kind of settle there. Making sure you're still finding that deep inhale and exhale. And just recognizing the sensations again. So this side's going to feel a little different than the other, and that's okay. Just kind of feeling out how it feels different, where you might need to settle a little more deeply or ease out of certain areas. But just giving the body what it needs in this moment. We'll spend just a few more moments on this side here. And if you're on forearms, just gently walking those hands back towards the body. If you're on your back, releasing those feet down to the mat. We'll start to tuck those back toes. Lifting that right leg up and back in your down dog. Maybe you open up that hip, find a little movement there. We'll bring that foot down. If you're on your back, just stay there. We're coming to meet you. So we'll bring those knees down to the mat. And then we're all going to make our way down onto our backs. Once you're there, knees are going to hug in towards the chest. Pausing for a moment here and just getting really still. So hugging the knees in. Maybe you bring that head up towards the knees, creating a little tiny ball of you. And then we'll release the head back down. We're going to plant the feet down on the mat. Starting to hug that right knee in towards the chest here. Hands will move to the back of the right thigh as you start to press that foot up towards the sky. Keeping the head and the neck easy. Just finding this little bit of hamstring stretch. You can keep that left knee bent, or if it feels good, maybe you take that leg nice and long. Wherever you're at, maybe you walk the hands up towards the calf or reach for the big toe. Just finding a depth of stretch in that right leg that feels good to you. We'll just gently start to let that go, bringing that right knee back in towards the chest. And just taking that right knee out to the side any amount. Maybe you find a little movement here. Maybe it's just nice and still, opening up that hip. We'll bring it back to center. Bringing that left knee in as well. Hands will move over to the left knee as that right foot comes down to the mat. We'll move those hands to the back of the thigh, pressing that foot up towards the sky. And again, you can keep that right knee bent. You can reach that leg nice and long. Finding your version of this shape. Maybe you walk those hands any amount up that left leg. We'll gently start to let it go, hugging that left knee in. Just taking that knee out to the side, any amount here. We'll bring it back to center. We're just going to cross that left ankle over the right leg. Hands can come out to the sides, or you can find that cactus arm shape. And then we're just going to start to drop the legs over towards the right. So maybe that left foot comes all the way down here, settling into a twist. And really releasing into the shape, but also feeling a little activation of that left knee pressing back, pressing out away from the body to find a little bit of extra stretch through that outer part of the hip here. Getting into that IT band. taking some time to settle in to the stillness, allowing the body and the breath to slow back down a bit. Couple more breaths on this side. Maybe you release any little piece of the body that might still be kind of cranky or holding on here. We'll just gently start to bring those legs back to center, releasing that left foot down to the mat, just crossing that right ankle over the left knee. And then legs will drop over towards the left. So same thing here, recognizing each side is a little different. Just trying to allow the body to release and settle in. Feeling that little bit of activation of that right leg pressing away from the body. Spending a few more moments here, finding any little bit of deeper release or let go in those sticky parts of the body. We'll just gently start to bring the knees back to center, releasing that right foot. Hugging the knees in one more time here. We're gonna come into a happy baby. So maybe you reach for the outsides of the feet or the big toes, letting the knees fall out to the sides. So this can be really still, or you can find a little movement side to side, channeling your happiest little inner baby. And spending as much time in this shape as you need. From here, we're settling into our final pose of Shavasana. Maybe you grab that blanket to cover up and kind of cozy in here for the end. And as you settle down to this final shape, just letting everything come all the way out. So legs come out a bit, arms will come out to the sides. Tucking yourself in to a little cozy moment on your mat. And just allowing everything to settle back in here. So kind of fighting off the desire, the need to get up and get going, get on with the day, but just kind of honoring these last little moments of class and the space that you've made for yourself. And that intention of slowing down. Just allowing yourself to really be present in this stillness, in this moment. Just taking some time to be really content in this little space that we've made this morning. Sometimes it's hard to give ourselves space or honor what we need during the week. At least for me, I'm not very good at honoring stillness or downtime. So just taking advantage of this moment to really slow down and be present. We'll just gently start to bring our awareness back to the space, allowing the breath to settle a little more deeply in the body. You can find that little movement of the head side to side, the little movements in fingers and toes. Slowly, gently taking your time to make your way to a side, pausing as long as you need. And then at your own pace, as you're ready, making your way to a comfortable seat. Eyes closed, hands at heart center. I want to thank you all so much for rolling out your mats and rolling out of bed to practice with me this morning. It's definitely how I like to start the weekend. So I'm grateful that you were here. The light within me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining me this morning. I hope it was what you needed. I don't know about the rest of you, but it was what I needed today. So I'm glad that you were able to be here and get into the hips a little bit. So a couple updates, a couple announcements. If you want to make a donation and you haven't, you're able to do that on our webpage. We'll be loading this video up shortly on the website. So if you're needing to get into the hips again in the future, then it'll be there for you anytime that you need to access it. So tomorrow we have a new class opening up for registration. It's at the Scenic Valley Farm. So it's a new space for us. We're very excited. It'll be a class with Mickey next Sunday. I think it's at 10 or 10:45. But registration for it opens tomorrow at noon, and there are limited spots. So mark your calendar, set your alarm, whatever you need to do to grab a spot for that class for next Sunday. And then Monday night, we will be back on the live stream. So Mickey will be doing a live stream class at 6, and then I'll be teaching at EOLA at 6 p.m. So if you sign up for that class, I'm happy to see you there. I'm excited. If you're not making class or you need to access class later, then Mickey will be there for you from her living room on Monday night. So again, thank you all so much for being here this morning. I just really love starting Saturdays this way. So thank you all so much. Yay, Cheryl and Jerry. I'm glad that we love pigeon. Yay. Yay for that. I'm slowly deciding that I love pigeon. It's good. Yay. Thank you, Catherine, so much for, yes, yeah. My stiff hips also needed it. Thank you, Nicole. Thanks all again, and have a lovely, lovely weekend. Cheers.